Devin, it seems to me, watching you, that you're moving like you used to. Was it just a case of getting healthy and now you are?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was, dealt with some things in my foot that was kind of very triggering and trying to play through it. And man, it just took a lot of rehab to, just get back to myself. But now I'm able to just be myself and just have fun.
Devin, what made you want to come here to Las Vegas?
Uh, John Spatek, number one. We got a great relationship. When I got drafted, 19, he took me out to dinner, on the process in Baton Rouge. He came down. We had a genuine relationship. Myself, him, his kids, his family. They used to wear my jersey and everything. And just when I came here on a visit, it was the first visit that I decided to take. And Coach P was genuine. And I could see the camaraderie he had and what he believed in and what he want to do with his organization. And I'm good. I'm cool with being part of a build. And then when the success happened, I feel like I had a part in it. So, I mean, we just hit it off. With PG. He sat me down, walked me through the defense, showed me how I could be used, and that was very big because, if you got good attributes, you want to be used to help the team. And that's what type of coach he is. And Coach JG had a lot of energy. And then playing for a guy like that, he make you want to come to work.
You said in the past that, these can be opportunities for you to show what the past was.
Yeah.
Do you look at this as one of those opportunities?
Yeah, I look at it as an opportunity that I'm very grateful for. That's why I've been taking advantage of the OTAs and, everything, the phases to just come here and work my butt off and just show them that I'm committed, I'm bought in, and I appreciate the process. It ain't nothing like the process. You start from the bottom and then you try to work your way up to the top.
You and Landon bring a lot of experience to the table. So what do you try to teach these young guys?
Oh man, just how to just grind. How to put your head down and grind, and how to be a smart football player. I think that's what Levante showed me. A lot of years playing together on just how to, play the game within the game, and you can go out there and make more plays. Because if you're not making plays, you're not helping your team. If we're just gonna be real, it's about what you can do on the field, and being able to get turnovers and key sacks, knocking people out of field goal range, and just communication. I think that's the biggest thing that I feel like that'll be helpful to this defense, to this team, to this organization is communication.
Does Mike share with you about his vision for this franchise that sold you?
Man, he want to win. When we got to Tampa together, they wasn't a winning franchise at the time. They have recently won before, just like the Raiders. And, you got to bring in the right people. You got to bring in like-minded people. And I think that's just all what he's trying to do is just establish that identity, and that starts with the head coach and the GM, and you go get players that fit them, and I think that's what they've been doing. And, I mean, you got to take it a day at a time, Rome wasn't built overnight. So, we just finished some good practices, but we got to go reset and we got to keep working so when we come back, we can pick up where we left off.
Do you think people have forgotten what you are?
Nah, I mean, that don't matter. I don't really care what nobody think. I accomplished a lot in life, and I still got goals to hit. So, me reaching my goals, they'll find out, and they'll remember. They're gonna say, "Okay, all right."
What goals do you have? What do you want to prove at this point in your career?
Just prove that I'm a leader. I'm still a leader. I can have a high impact on the team. Even in the community as well. Just showing I'm a good person. I got a good personality. I'm a team favorite. All my teammates like me. They know they're gonna get the best out of me. Them the main goals, and just also, just going out there and playing to that All-Pro, Pro Bowl level. If that's not why I'm playing the game, then I shouldn't be out there. So I can put that on Front Street is what I'm trying to do, and that's just be the best I could be. And I'm surrounded by a bunch of guys that can help me be the best that I could be, because it's 11 men on the field. When we go into war on defense, so those guys gonna make me better, and I'm gonna make them better.
To your Super Bowl win, you got that game-sealing interception against Patrick Mahomes. How does that make you feel coming into this division, knowing you're going to get the opportunity to face him again?
I mean, we had some good battles with him. I think we played him 3 times. They beat us 2, but we ultimately, got the good one. I got a lot of experience with him, just chasing him around. I was a spy in the game. I got to chase him around, and that was fun. Only thing I didn't get to do was playing Arrowhead. Every game was in Raymond James, so now I get to go back and forth, and it could be, a real good competition because, he's a great quarterback to play against, and I think he makes you rise up to the level of competition that he's going to play at. So, man, that was one of them games where you want to really, really play at your best because it's best on best, a good quarterback, good linebacker, going at it, making checks at the line of scrimmage, just trying to, beat one another, but within the game.
Did you talk to Tom at all? Did he have anything to do with bringing? I mean, you played at a high level
Yeah.
when you guys won the Super Bowl together.
I didn't talk to him as far as coming here, but once I got here and, became part of the organization, I got to say some words with him and just kind of talk to him about, just him being another inside piece and his vision for the team and how he can help and, how he can help me and how we can help the team, as far as, past experience. But other than that, man, I'm focused on the guys in the building. I'm glad that Tom is doing really well, especially being an owner and stuff. Like, I seen him in the locker room for 3 years and one of the best guys I ever been around, the best quarterback I ever seen. So it's good to have a little knowledge from him, bringing it to this organization.
It's early on in the process, but what would you assess, the defense and how you guys are all kind of coming together?
I think it's fun. I think PG do a good job of putting everybody in position to make plays. And that was one of the biggest things that we talked about. And, it could be a lot of smoke until you get in the building, but he was like, it's not just, some coaches, this is my scheme, y'all gonna run it. He really put players in position to do what they do best. So he's been standing on his word, and I've been loving it. And I think anytime we got a problem, you can go to him, you can watch extra film with him. He don't mind. He watched ball all day. He could tell you everything before you could tell yourself. And so that's the good thing about him. He cares. Having a defensive coordinator that cares about you, cares about all the players, man, that's a winning program right there.
Saw you guys make some big plays on defense today, especially. It seemed like you were really spirited out there. What's that camaraderie been like so early building it with?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be the Energizer Bunny. Somebody got to do it. If I'm making a play or they making a play, you want to be hype, and that's always been my MO, just get the guys in the game and then everybody feed off one another energy. And even the other day we watched a video with Steve Nash on just how he was always high-fiving guys, bringing guys together. And it's just like a electricity, it's just static, just run through the organization. So I'm gonna make sure that I bring it, and hopefully they'll feed off my energy and they'll bring it. And when they're not bringing it, I can pick them up and vice versa, because every day not gonna be my best day because it's really hot out here. So you gotta make sure that you in shape, you gotta make sure that you hydrated and that you stand above level.
You've always been known as an energy guy, but what's it like to have Max Crosby on your team too?
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard because I swear to God that I never seen nobody with no stop in them. And for him to be coming off an injury and out there with us every day, I'm talking about going full speed, like all out, like it's gonna be hard, but I'm up for the challenge. And I told him that once I first signed, obviously us being in the same class and knowing each other, I told him to push me, get it all out of me because I know you give it every play. That's why you set the standard of being, one of the best in the league, if not the best at his position. And, that's what I'm trying to get back to is just being at the top of my position. So it's good to have guys like that in the building.
Ashton named you as the guy he would challenge in a slap fighting contest. First of all, I assume you embrace that smoke.
I mean,
but you probably enjoy the trash talking aspect of things getting in a guy's head, I imagine.
Yeah, my guy Darren Taylor, he shared that with me this morning, and that's crazy. I make it hard on him, but at the end of the day, man, he got a lot of weight on his shoulder. Being drafted 6th overall, that means he's coming in to play a great role in this organization on the offense. So man, I do what I do. I told him, bro, I was in a division with Alvin Kamara and Christian McCaffrey for 4 or 5 years, and they brought it. So I'm just, sharing nuggets with him, kind of teaching him how to get open on his routes and what to do and what not to do and what we look for as far as when we guarding backs. But if he can tell you he had no catches on me, so none this offseason. So that just tell you who up, and he better be ready for training camp. But we ain't gonna do no slapping each other. I got kids.
Outside of the defensive line, there's not a lot of continuity on the defense. A lot of newcomers like yourself after a busy offseason of departures, and it's a new coaching staff. So what's the sense of urgency like right now in minicamp to get this defense figured out?
I think we're doing a good job as far as getting the defense figured out, man. We got great coaches. They break it down for us. We meet together. The front end and the back end, and all together is one. The front end and the middle linebackers, we meet with them some just to all be on the same page. We do a lot of walkthroughs. Just for instance, I had a question. We did a walkthrough, and we got a combination called box, but I didn't know how they wanted to run it. So we walked through it today before practice. We got it in practice, no catch. So it's just, just being able to talk it out with them and just be on the same page. I think everybody is willing to learn and not trying to know it all because it's new for everybody. It's not, I know this defense, even though they played for PG, it's new perks within the defense. So even a guy like Max, he has to learn the new stuff, and I'm learning everything new. But it's similar coverage that I ran, with my prior team. So that's what makes it easier as far as middle linebacker.
Any thoughts on Amari Gaynor so far?
Man, that guy work extremely hard and he talk a lot. He work extremely hard and he talk a lot, but he will help this team with his energy and, his dog mentality.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Nice to meet y'all.
Come back here.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys, just kind of hedged their bet. You were vocal from the beginning. I want to be back. It's where I want to be. How happy are you to have that come true?
Yeah, I'm ecstatic, man. I just appreciate the organization for seeing my work. Appreciate you for seeing my work. And yeah, here I am, and I'm gonna try to repeat and be better than I was last year.
For you, obviously Christian hasn't been able to practice. How have you kind of stepped into a larger role in that defensive tackle group and help lead the group so far?
I mean, it's always been, next man up mentality. I pray that he heals and whatever he's battling, I praise that he gets through it. He's a tough guy. He's a great player. We all go through it, but like I said, it's next man up, and we're just gonna keep working.
How did you feel, in doing some self-evaluation after the season? How did you feel your season went? From the outside, looked pretty good. Did you feel that same way?
Yeah, I felt I had a phenomenal season. I think, of course, it could have been better in a lot of different ways, and that's one of my goals this year is just to eliminate the close calls. There's so many other opportunities when you really break down the tape where maybe I was this close to making a play or maybe I didn't quite finish, and I'm trying to just eliminate that from my game and just focus on the little details,
I guess, how do you do that? How do you do that extra 0.5% or extra 1%, whatever it is, to get there?
Well, I mean, truthfully, it comes from experience and knowing yourself, right? Knowing your weaknesses and just trying to strengthen them.
Tonka and Tank, two rookies that you've been mentoring. Will you talk about just your thoughts early? And I know there's no pads, but just your thoughts early on the rooks.
Yeah, I think they work hard. I don't sense that. Some guys come in and you can tell if it really matters to them or not. It really matters to these guys. Kind of too much sometimes. You want them to loosen up. I try to tell them loosen up, but they're all like, the whole time. And that's how you know that they really care, though, and they're intentional about their work. So I'm pleased with them and the way that they've come to work.
You've seen three regimes already in your time in Las Vegas. What's different about this one?
I would just say the mindset. This is all about competition, and that just makes everybody better. I like what Coach Pete has done. Very pleased with him, but I expect nothing less. He's a legendary coach, and he came in and showed that.
What's this process been like so far for you and the rest of the staff?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
But just you in the room, the defensive tackle room, the defensive unit, how are you guys going through this process of learning with the new guys?
I don't know if I can answer that. It's very vague, so I don't think I can give you an answer.
You missed a couple of practices and OTAs. How important was it to you to be on the field for minicamp?
Oh man, it meant a lot. I mean, I went back home. My wife's pregnant. She needed help. Got to be a husband too. I'm not just a football player. Got to be a husband, father. She needed help. Went home to help her, but I'm glad to be back here and my child will be here in the next couple of days.
In terms of there still being consistency in the defensive side with Patrick Graham being retained as well as Rob Leonard, how does that kind of help you through the other changes that have happened with the coach?
You know what? It eliminates the anxiety of, having a new staff and having to relearn their ways of coaching, their ways of doing things and having to adjust. Different coaches teach different things, but now that I have them back, I know them, I know what they expect, and I know I can deliver on what they expect from me. So,
Obviously, right now, during this period of time, there's no pads, which is kind of hard for the offensive and defensive line to really evaluate what they're doing. But what do you think right now the defensive line focus on the most in terms of trying to get better at while you're not in pads?
I really think it's just understanding the different elements of being a pro, right? Like just taking your game to that next level and not just being a surface football player, right? Like try to figure out what the other side wants to do and how can we counteract that from a mental perspective, right? Like if we know they have tendencies to do X, Y, and Z, right? Can we train ourselves in a way that we just instinctively do it and counter it and put ourselves in the best position?
It's a big year for Tyree. He's going to come speak to us a little bit. What have you seen out of him, just his development this offseason?
I'm pleased with his work ethic too. He's been trying some new things. I won't go into detail on that, but he's been trying some new things and really being intentional about his work as well. So I hope everything works out for him. As long as he keeps working, I believe he'll surprise you.
One more teammate to ask you about. You did some nice things next to Jonah towards the end of last season. What's the biggest thing for him going into year two? What have you seen out of him?
I would say the biggest thing is just confidence for him, and I think he's done a great job in this offseason program of establishing that, just showing that he is confident in his play. And just me looking at, from the time that he came in the building to now, I would definitely say, he holds his head up higher than he did as a rookie. I don't sense any nervousness. I sense somebody that's confident that they can play.
We thought of Gino early on in the offseason.
Impressive, man. Impressive. The guy really is about his craft. Every day he's got some amazing pass where I'm like, it's crazy, And I'm just excited to see him do it in the game.
I have to ask you on that Max Crosby interception, kind of near the end of practice, where were you on that and how cool was that to see? You talked about being instinctual and being mentally in the right place. How's that tie into that?
Yeah, I was right next to him, and you know what? Truthfully, we both knew it was coming. We knew it was coming. I don't know if you can pull up the tape, but we knew it was coming. And, how many times has he stopped the screen where he's like batted it down or, tipped the ball or whatever on screen plays? He's got 100 million of those. And that's just what he does. I'm glad he finally caught one this time, and it was amazing to see that.
You voiced that you wanted to stay with this organization despite coming off that losing season. What have you grown to love about the Raiders in this city?
I would say just I like the toughness of this organization. This has always been like just that old school, tough organization, and I really like that style of football. That's all I know. I know the world is changing and going to other things, but that's why I like to be here.
All right, thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
So we're just talking to Adam Butler, and he said that you've been trying some new things this offseason. What can you tell us about the new things you've been trying this offseason?
Man, first off, being consistent, running to the ball. I'm trying to get my cardio up, to be able to be on the field longer, to be around the ball, to make more plays. And then, just being versatile. Last year you saw me outside, inside, and just really try to make my game more efficient inside, working, more edge moves, counter moves, and not just be, a power guy, which I always have in my bag.
Your feet were visibly different in this mini camp, even from where you ended last year. Is that something you spent a lot of time working on in the offseason?
Yeah, feet work, and just everything, core, feet work, and, just having a lower center of gravity. I missed a lot of plays, sacks, tackles, and, I'm always falling on the ground, so that was a big focus in the offseason.
Tyree, let's talk about the development relationship you have with Max in year three. It just looks like after a lot of reps, he's talking to you a lot, depending on you coming into these seasons.
Man, me and Max, I feel like the bond starts in practice. I always, if we doing a look, I always go with Max. I try to give him the best look. He try to give me the best look. And, what they say, iron sharpens iron. He always going to critique me. He been in the game long. He been successful. So I always, ask him, hey, he be like, oh, you can do this better. So, I'll go back and do the rep, the better. He tell me, good job. And it just, every day, trying to build and, try to idolize what he has established at the Raiders.
You guys had to see his interception today and the celebration you guys kind of had as a defense after.
Man, the crazy thing, if y'all was watching individual, we was working on that drill, and practice is reality. So when you practice something, he's always special. He always batting it down, and we worked it today, and he had the pick for a touchdown.
You have a guy like Devin come in, he's won a Super Bowl, very successful. Is it important to bring guys like that into this organization to kind of show the way of what the biggest success is?
Man, Devin, I knew Devin a little bit before he got here. But him as a teammate's way different. He always has the energy. He knows a lot of ball. He helps tell us what to expect at the front. So I feel like that's a great dude to bring in the organization.
There's a rookie that you were teammates with at Texas Tech, Caleb Rogers, is coming in. You know, what has been your relationship like with him, and what are some things you're trying to tell him to try to help him become a pro as well?
Man, you know, Caleb Rogers has always been a guy with great energy, a good guy, always down to work. He transitioned that over here to the Raiders. Me and him line up, you know, a little bit across from each other, some reps, and you know, I just tell him to keep your head down. You know, don't get too cocky. Just always work.
Do you feel this is a big year for you professionally?
Man, it's the biggest year. You know, not just I feel like ain't no pressure. It's just I feel like I got my feet under me. My teammates are counting me, and the team's counting on me. So yeah, this is a big year.
How would you kind of assess how your first 2 years have been? Like the development has been there for sure. It showed up on the field, but like how do you feel about it?
Man, going back looking at my previous 2 years, first year, you know, foot injury. I got in, you know, really took a lot of time away from ball, and it just went fast. It was a blur. Last year, you know, I starting to grow, starting to feel, the game starting to slow down a little bit. But, you know, the twitch and the reaction, it wasn't there all the way. You know, it started to develop, you know, after the bye. And now I'm just coming in and starting it in OTAs and transitioning to camp and then into the season.
Tyree, at the end of last year, I talked about the fact that it looked like football was fun again.
Yeah.
And you agreed. Today it looked like you're back, you're comfortable again in playing this game now. Healthy, comfortable. Am I reading you right?
Yeah, you reading me right. You know, it starts from the top. You know, Pete comes in here with a great mindset, great attitude, and, you know, he pours it into the team. And all the coaches want to be here. All the coaches want to have fun, and it just makes it fun for all the players.
Tyree, looked like there was like a scuffle after one of the plays with the offensive. You and Max with one of the offensive linemen, just competitive out there. What was going on?
Man, you know, it's football. It was no fight, no scuffle. It was just, you know, competing.
You talk about developing and figuring out like late last year, getting comfortable where you are right now. Do you feel it's almost unfair to not be able to develop in that way? Everybody expects you to be an all-pro right away when you're picked in the top 10, and it's like almost not fair to you at that point.
Man, I wouldn't say not fair. You know, you draft somebody, you know, how you expect them to come out and perform right away. But I feel like every player in the NFL is different. You know, people go through different things. You know, some players are more polished in college than others, and some people have to come in and develop. So I feel like everybody has a different timeline. And, you know, my timeline is different. I feel like this year's the year that, you know, you got to go out there and show and shut everybody up. Not that that matters. You know, what matters is the teammates and whoever's around me.
How excited are you for the chance to do that?
Man, you know, I'm not just looking at the season. You gotta take baby steps. First, I gotta finish off mini camp, and then, you know, go back in. The next 6 weeks are big. You know, you can lose a lot or you can gain a lot. So, you know, go back, train, develop some more, and then come into camp and create that bond and be polished up going into the season. To just take it week by week.
You connected with that. Seems like you're really
another high draft pick like you, with all the pressure on him coming in.
You said what?
Connected with Ashton.
Man, you know, Ashton's special. You know, we all seen him college playoffs. He come in, he ain't too arrogant. He's always working. You know, quiet guy, coming in to work. You know, I haven't really spoken with him a lot just for him being on the offensive ball. But you know, I always mess with him each and every day. But I feel like it ain't no pressure. Just go out there and be you, and then let people talk, and that really don't matter. It just matters what we think, you know, in the building.
Your mindset seems like you've really kind of slowed down each step, each phase of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, how right now is your focus zeroed in as you head into this phase of the offseason and going into training camp?
I feel like to get in, you know, this OTAs, but it ain't real football. So to really get in football shape, train with pads and a helmet on, and, you know, to really focus on being low and being able to take on blocks, and then be able to transition to the pass.
All good?
Yep.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tyree.
First of all, congratulations on your new deal. How excited are you just have that behind you and this is home?
Yeah, I mean, I love it here. So, I mean, I'm excited to be here, and my hard work paid off. So, I mean, it's not done yet. So, you know, I keep going.
It's been like trying to work out chemistry with Jeremy Chin and also Lonnie Johnson coming in as new safeties in the group.
I mean, it's a fun experience. You know, this is really a whole new defense entirely. So just building that chemistry, the trust with each other, I mean, that's the entire reason why we're here, so it's a good feeling.
Is it I mean, you said everybody says that when they get a contract of like, hey, the hard work's not done, it's just starting now. Like, is it hard to, like, you celebrate it, you understand you accomplished something, but also like, all right, now I still got to keep working the same way?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely is. There's always a level of like laziness there, you know what I'm saying? But being undrafted, I think it kind of just always has that chip on my shoulder. Like, no matter what happens, I'm never complacent. Always want to keep going. So,
Isaiah, obviously you're always trying to improve in all areas, but what areas in particular do you want to take strides at this season?
I definitely want to pick up on my man coverage, just because a lot of times my eyes was wrong in the wrong places last year, and that kind of got me in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that's where it starts.
How do you pick up from what you did at the end of last year? It looked like you were really starting to come on, and then pick up with what this new staff is also putting in place this year?
I mean, I think it's just preparation. It builds confidence, and I preach that all the time to, the young guys. But I think it just starts with a daily grind, and it's, starts with Max. Everybody's trying to get better every day, So we kind of just follow his lead and follow PG's lead, and of course Pete's always talking about that. So I mean, it's pretty easy to fall in line.
He's always been, really commended on how he works with DBs. What have you seen out of him so far with the DBs?
So I mean, I've never had a head coach really hands-on with the DBs, so it's different for me. But I love it, and at the same time, Pete's legendary. So I mean, learning from him, he's seen it and he's done it, so he knows what it's supposed to look like. So I mean, I'm just learning, I'm listening, trying to take it all in.
You started most of last season, but it's really kind of first off season. You're kind of going into the season as a starter. How does that change kind of the process and your comfortability within the system?
I don't think it changes anything. I think it's more of for me, I want to earn that starting role. You know what I'm saying? Last year was I was shoved into that role, by default. But I want to earn that starting role. I want to earn the trust with the guys, the coaches. So, like I said, this is a new defense. So it's really nothing last year matters. So it's a new start for me. New start for everybody else, so that's why I'm starting.
You're used to vocal teammates with Max, but Jeremy, he's a vocal guy too. Talk about that part of having a talker back there.
Yeah, I mean, Chen's a funny guy, man. When his helmet comes on, he kind of flips that switch. Like, he goes in that mode where he's locked in, you know what I'm saying? So having him on the field, it kind of puts me at ease because I know he's locked in, he knows what he's doing, so it just makes me feel a little bit, puts me at ease, like I said, so. We can play faster.
What's about him, like just playing style on the field?
It kind of reminds me of Trayvon a little bit, but being in that box, but he brings that physicality, we can't really see it right now, but I know for sure when the pads are on, he's going to be there.
Organization wants to win at the highest level, obviously, so when you bring in a guy like Devin who's won at the highest level and won a Super Bowl, what does that say in terms of bringing people like that in who can show the way?
I mean, he just brings leadership right away. I mean, he's seen it, he's done it, he knows what it's supposed to look like. So having him on the field is almost like a second coach, So he kind of, like I said, he kind of puts everybody's mind at ease. Same with E-Rob. But yeah, I mean, they kind of just bring that veteran leadership.
You talk about this being a really new defense, but you still have the same defensive coordinator. So despite all the change that's happened around you, how convenient is it to still have PG, as your defense coordinator?
I mean, very convenient because he knows the players. He knows me personally. He knows everybody he wants everybody here. So it's a good thing that he's here because, he kind of is just there, We could always depend on him. We know what we're going to get from him, and he knows how to bring it the most out of everybody.
Your focus every play is your job, but you do have to work with guys around, communicate with guys around. Like, how different is that process learning all those new guys that are in the secondary?
I mean, you got to know who you're working with. If it's a rookie out there, you got to understand he's kind of surviving out there, or, you got a vet like E. Stokes who's been there, been in big games. So you got to understand who you're working with, and as long as you understand the entire defense, I think kind of slows everything down for you.
Max with the pick six, are you DBs a little jealous, sir?
Yeah, hell yeah. What? He's kind of doing our job for us, but that was a hell of a play he did.
All right, guys.
See yourself in this season coming in with this defensive backs group, like as a leader or more as still growing? Like, where do you feel like you fit in with your role?
I take pride in knowing exactly where everybody's supposed to be, and I try to put everybody in the right position, make sure everybody's on the same page. So I think a little bit of a vocal leader, but I also give that to Chen because he's going to be more of the guy that's getting everybody hyped up, and we're going to kind of follow his lead.
All good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.